Hi, I'm Desiree Holmes-Sharini. Welcome to Intuitive Journey with Desiree. And today I am delighted to have as my guest Michelle Henderson. And I'm just going to read from her brief bio here before we actually get to talk to her. Michelle has a master's in education, worked in education as a teacher, educational diagnostician, and behavior analyst for 30 years. In 2021, Michelle became a certified spiritual advisor with psychic and medium certificates through the Lisa Williams International School of Spiritual Development. With the knowledge she obtained through her lifelong work with children, she became passionate about helping intuitive children embrace their gifts. Michelle also shares her innovative ideas with other light workers, giving them direction about supporting families of intuitive children. Her book, Spiritual Nurturing for Intuitive Children, Training Parents to Embrace and Enhance Their Psychic Child's Abilities, was published on January 5th, 2022. So that's exciting. Welcome, Michelle. I'm glad you're here.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited about our conversation.
And we were talking just before coming on about weather and allergies. And you said you're in Dallas, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. So I was telling her that she was saying she's had the allergies too. And I pointed out that her weather just blows right up to here where I am in Washington, D.C. So if either of us are clearing our throat a bit, it's just springtime.
Absolutely. I guess where I'm located, I get to suffer first, and then I just send it your way.
Now send the light. That's
right.
The clearing
Absolutely.
light. So we're just going to have a conversation, and I'll start with your own background. So tell us, you went into education first. Did you always want to be a teacher? Was that like your there's a story there?
The reason why I laugh is because growing up, I always wanted to be a psychologist. And I was in college and I just happened to take it. It's so interesting that we are both in the art realm, and I took an art class of how to teach children art, the methods and the strategies. And I just fell in love with teaching at that point. I thought, I have to go into it. So that kind of put me on the correct pathway of education.
Okay. So art was your catalyst. And do you do art yourself still?
Well, yes. And like I do art, and it's whenever I love to use the color. And I know that I'm not a trained artist because I did not go to school for it, but I take classes here and there, and also use it whenever I do a psychic and mediumship reading. Sometimes I'll integrate the art.
Very cool. Okay, so you ended up with your degree for education, and you taught for how many years?
Well, I actually taught for 7, and then I was an educational diagnostician for, about 18 years.
And what does a diagnostician do?
Okay, so in Texas, what we have, instead of a psychologist doing all of the special ed testing for special needs children, so what I do is I do IEP meetings and I do evaluations. And so to see if the child will be diagnosed with something so that they can receive special ed services.
Okay. So, that led you, when you talk about special needs kids, right. It seems like a lot of times, and I don't know if this has been, actually studied and put on a graph or something, but it seems like a lot of times special needs children do seem to be a little more spiritually in touch. Did you discover that?
Absolutely. And I love how you put that, because they are very spiritually. And I think a lot of people, we have, an angel team. And I think with special needs children, they really do have an angel team on their side. And they just teach us so much about love. And whenever I was working with children with autism, I just knew, as a behavior analyst, I just knew what kind of program that they needed. And whenever they would have meltdowns, I would be able to calm them down. And then when I was doing research, I went, Oh my gosh, that's exactly what was happening was telepathically. We were talking to each other and I didn't even realize that's what it was. It was almost energy to energy. And then I just knew what they were needing. And doing some research, they're coming out and saying, yes, some children under the autism spectrum disorder may be, if they're nonverbal, may be able to communicate through telepathically.
That's pretty cool. And, it's one of those things that we might have a sense of, like I, was saying that there seems to be a sense of that. But now it's always nice when science, what people will say, oh, okay, now I believe it because it's on a piece of paper someplace.
Oh, right. Right.
Um,
Yes.
So did you personally, before kind of coming to that realization, working with kids and kind of realizing I'm psychically connecting, before that, in your lifetime, did you have stronger intuition, any psychic things that happened, or was it something that just came up as you were working with people, like you had your aha, or was it always there?
Oh no, it actually started when I was younger. I could always feel the different kind of energies and in different environments.
Mhm.
And I was an empath. I felt everybody's emotions. I was a very sensitive child. I, constantly crying all the time because I was picking up people's different emotions.
Uh-huh.
But living in Texas, especially the Bible Belt of Texas, it was not heard of, or you didn't want to talk about, if you had the psychic abilities, or if you knew, someone was coming to communicate with you, you didn't, that was kind of an evil
the
thing.
demon, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I really did not I tune into it until my 20s. And then it was like my spiritual awakening just happened. And it got stronger and stronger. And so I really used it on an everyday basis whenever I was working with the children and their families.
Okay. And that's what led you into like wanting to be an advocate for, intuitive children, right?
Absolutely. But yeah, step by step. But I really did not come out of the closet.
Yeah, I know.
Of a
That's part of
psychic,
it.
yeah, of a psychic medium until 2019.
Mm-hmm.
So right before COVID shut everything down. And it was just the perfect timing. And
Yeah.
once I came out that way, then yes, I became a strong advocate for children with psychic abilities because I had met so many people in the profession that were practicing as psychic mediums. And they said, yeah, I went through the exact same thing. My parents shut me down.
Mm-hmm.
My family, they were so afraid of it, they didn't know what to do. And so that just kind of sparked my interest. And since I had worked with so many children and been an advocate anyway, I thought, you know what? I think God is bringing me another challenge in my life
Mm-hmm.
to become an advocate for these kids.
And I think that's what's frustrating about, to me, about organized religion, rather than actually seeing what the words were from the source. People are listening to the words from the organizers that, and there's a fear-based thing that that's the, your tarot cards are the vehicle of the devil. And I actually had a conversation with a very Christian client of mine the other day who likes the tarot, but then he's like, but maybe I'm going against God. And so we had the conversation. I said, well, the way I see the tarot is not trying to control. It's not trying to manipulate. I see it as a vehicle, a way to communicate with God, the universe, source. I find it as a vehicle for communication because sometimes we do feel lost. Sometimes we just stand there and we're like, I don't know. So we look for signs. Some people go and you might hear a sermon and it's exactly the sermon that you needed to hear. Some people will pick up their Bible and you find in there, and you're like, read that. And it's like, wow, this message was meant to come to me right now. I personally see the tarot as a vehicle in that same way, that like, what do I need to know? What's my best line of action? What should I be wary of? You know what I'm saying?
That is a great way to explain it. I mean, I've never heard that explanation before. And I think you are so right. I think that is the perfect way to put it.
And and I can always pull in that God works in mysterious ways. and he will find the best way to reach you at the time. Some people just have an epiphany. Some people just know. Some people need a little help getting there. So so use that one.
Absolutely. And and just like you said, whenever you do go to church and a minister, to me, like what you said, I think they channel. They're channeling into, the divine, into God, into the spirit realm. And so what is the difference?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, so I totally agree with you. And, they use the Bible as a tool, like you said, when you need a message. And I've done that several times where I hold the Bible up and I go, oh, please give me some direction, So I love that.
Yeah. And which page you open it up, find where your finger lands, and you think, how does this apply right now? And so like I said, you could pick up, Farmer's Almanac, I guess, and maybe try the same, but the Bible might have more in-depth stuff. Well, and so I don't see, this is the problem, like you're talking about, coming out, is that you have to come out of the closet. You have to hide it from certain people because they don't, they have a block to seeing it with the open-mindedness that might be beneficial to everybody. And if we could all understand that it's, these skills, everybody has them. Everybody has them. And some people shut them down or don't want to hear it, or they're like, it's like, no, I'm not supposed to do that. And it's all about translation. My mother was psychic and she was afraid of it. But it would come to her. She couldn't help it. She'd still go tell people stuff. She'd still blurt out with something and we'd be like, oh yeah, Mom. And then I'd say, Mom, why don't you hone this? Why don't you learn how to harness this and use it? No, I'm scared. But it was there. So I say, embrace it, right?
Absolutely.
Which is what you and I have done. It's like, embrace it. But so are you still working in the school system? How did that go? Or are you open with it there? Because I know we all have our different hats and, you can't go in there with your purple scarves and your tarot cards.
My woo-woo-ness, right?
Yeah, right. Wizard hat.
Actually, it was very interesting because whenever I did come out, it wasn't as difficult as I thought it would be. I had a lot of church members that found out and they go, oh, how cool is that? I want a reading.
Oh, awesome.
And so, but yes, I still work. I'm working part-time right now for the school district because they are such a need of employees. Yeah. And there are a couple of people in the school system who know I do this, but I don't do it in an everyday conversation. Like you said, it's almost like, we don't talk religion at school.
Right. Yeah.
So it's almost basically the same thing because it's a part of my religion, my spirituality. So I don't really talk about it unless they ask me about it. And then, of course, I'll, tell them anything they want to know. Yeah. So, but it's very interesting because your mother, now, did she ever accept it?
It was like sort of a yes and no. She accepted that she had this. And then if sometimes she would just feel drawn to go warn somebody about something, like in a party situation or something, she'd look and she says, her husband's cheating on her. I'm like, Mom, and she'd say, that man you're seeing is no good. Of course, it was usually after a few drinks. Speaking of, I cough. And but she would know things. She would just know things. There's no way she could know. As a child, she had, here's a little story here. I think it scared her because along with part of what I also believe is that we have the power of intention, so, who knows if it was just coincidence, but when she was a little girl, someone told a lie about her. This maid that worked in her house had told a lie about her, and she got badly punished for what she did not do. And she was like, 7 years old, and she was so angry at the woman, and she said, I wish she would die. I wish she would die. And the woman got hit by a car and died a few days later. Mm-hmm. So I think that probably set her on that fear of having any sort of power or any sort of, that would scare me too. As a little kid going, oh shoot, that worked.
Yes.
but yeah, kind of interesting story there. So I think that set up her fear that there was a negative attachment with this whatever thing she had going on. So for me, growing up knowing she had this, when I would get my stuff, I thought, well, I'm gonna take it the right direction.
Good.
Yeah.
Good,
So
good.
we talk about light workers, right? So we have a choice, right? We have a choice. If we know we have not, like I said, everybody's got it, but if the light switch gets turned on for us, everybody's got that choice. And so that's where this term, light workers comes from, that we use it for good, or
Yes.
we direct it toward helping. And so I want to know more about what you do with your light worker abilities. You talk about working with children and with other people and teaching them. So what are some of the things you're doing?
Okay, so I have a family service. So if I just had one recently who was a teenager, and she didn't really have anyone to talk about her situation to, and her mom was very supportive. Very, very supportive. So I said, why don't we go on a discovery call to see if you need any of my services and to see if I can help you in any way. And all this girl was needing was just someone to talk to. And she didn't know how to really work with her energy. So I gave her some exercises and we did a demonstration on Zoom, actually.
Neat.
We worked with our energy. So just that a little bit of information really helps. So I am hoping that I help more families know how to do these exercises and have someone to talk to. I am actually offering a workshop for teenagers. And the reason why I say teenagers first is because, I'll be able to work with them, because a lot of times they don't want to work with mom and dad.
Well, yeah. As good as mom and dad can be, there's always that resistance,
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm offering a 6-week workshop for kids who can actually get together on Zoom and have that supportive community, and then do some exercises and just really talk about it, how they can embrace it.
So these are all kids that are having the experience of this extra intuition. They're like my mom. Like
yes,
she could use
exactly.
This. She could use this back when.
Yeah, and most of them are empaths. Again, they can feel everybody's emotions, and so they get that anxiety from it. Yeah. Because I cannot pinpoint, is that my emotion or is that somebody else's emotion? Now, you will have the instance as well as they have people visiting them, spirit or loved ones, or just spirit coming in, and they don't know who it is. And then sometimes they just don't want to talk to that spirit at that time. So just to give them, you are the one that's in control.
Right.
You can tell spirit, I do not want to talk right now. Just like if you don't want to go to someone's house and play, have playtime or whatever, you can say, no, I am done for the day. And so just those little bit of knowledge will really help them.
And one of the things that they talk a lot about, during trainings, like you and I have both had in different arenas, is because, when someone is spiritually open, a lot of times you're also vulnerable, like the empaths. And there might be these free floating whoever's that might want to just drop in and hang out that maybe don't belong in your energetic circles, so there's the protective stuff. Do you teach them, how, like you say, I don't want you here. And
that's a part of being in control. And no, because once you give them those tools of how to protect themselves, and of course, there's so many different exercises that they can do and visualize and everything, that gives them, hey, I'm not afraid of this. I'm not going to be fearful of it. And it just like anything else, that you learn, like riding a bicycle. Sometimes it takes step by step, and the skills that you have to learn how to do it. It's the same thing with, psychic and intuitive abilities. So you just need to know how to control them. It's almost like, I always laugh, it's almost like being a superhero.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When you watch the Avengers, and they have to learn how to control their power. And I mean, like you said, everybody has that intuitiveness, but you've got to learn how to use it in your life, because everybody does it differently.
Yeah, it's true. And everybody has a different level of it. And sometimes it comes and goes. You know,
Yes.
there are just episodes sometimes where it just starts happening. I kind of had that in 2019,
Mhm.
where, I've always had I've had some weird stuff happen in the past. I've always had a little bit of something inherited from my mom. But in 2019, I just started knowing things. And my mom also passed in 2019. And, she communicated with me after her death, told me things, and then and other people before she died. And I was like, so 2019 must have been the year, right? Maybe. What
Yeah.
what do you think about, like, a lot of people talk about the shifting, like, age of Aquarius, and the woo-woo community will say, oh, this is the, people are waking up, not woke, but waking.
Yes,
you
no,
know
I gotcha.
People are waking up, and there are more and more people that seem to who are just open to this, and or are having these experiences. And you would know, working with kids and stuff, that do you think you've seen more of that recently than, say, 10 years ago or 5 years ago? Do you think, what in
Well,
your own personal experience?
right. Now, working with the kids, I don't see anything different there because they are so spiritual anyway.
Okay.
What I really do see it is with adults. And I think with COVID, and yes, there definitely was an energy shift. It's just so interesting talking to everybody. And I think with COVID, I think it slowed everybody down. And it made you really think about life and the different perspectives. And I think people are really searching for that spirituality now. They know that there's something more to life than maybe what they had before, because I
Right.
think we got so busy,
Yeah.
and I think it really slowed people down. So yeah, so I think everybody is kind of shifting this energy, and it's a consciousness that we're maybe not aware of quite yet, but I think it's actually definitely getting stronger.
Yeah, I think so. And I was always wondering, is it because I have, my group of friends and people I talk to has shifted away, I don't know if it was that, or if it was, universal. I do feel like it's more universal, more interest, more books, more talks like this, more people that are open to, you know, like, if I tell someone, oh, I'm a hypnotherapist and life coach, and I also do tarot and mediumship, and then they're like, oh, really? That's cool. A lot of people, I still get the people that, like, oh, really? Like, yeah,
Right.
or a lot of people, even hypnotherapy is pretty mainstream now. I mean,
Right.
I think it
Right.
is, but I
Oh,
still get
absolutely.
people who, I gave a gift certificate to a fundraising thing for a hypnotherapy session. And when the organization sent me a thank you note, it said, thank you for the hydrotherapy session. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
That's not what I offered.
Right. Say, I think there's some misunderstanding in the terminology.
Yeah, luckily I
But
gave a certificate, so it said
yes.
hypnotherapy, not hydrotherapy. So it is interesting. People are shifting. I had a question in my mind for you just a second ago, but I can't think of it. So let me ask you about your book.
Oh,
So
sure.
tell me
Okay.
tell me about it.
Oh my gosh. Well, just like, like what we're talking about, the shifting and everything, when you think about writing a book, it's almost like planting the seed of knowledge for everybody. You just don't know who you're going to affect. So whenever, again, COVID happened, I hate to keep bringing that up, but
Yeah, I noticed it.
but I took a workshop from Lisa Williams, and I got together in the group, and that really motivated me once I got to meet all these, other people who had gone through the same experience. I thought, oh my gosh, during meditation one time, it all of a sudden came to me, you need to write a book to help educate people how to embrace these kids with intuitiveness instead of being afraid of it.
Right.
And I thought, and so I went on Barnes and Noble and Amazon looking for books, and there really weren't that many of them. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do it. I knew exactly what needed to be in there. It's almost like the spirit world gave me exactly what needed to be in there. So it was very easy to write. I already had, an outline in my head when I needed to have it in there. And because I was a behavior analyst and I worked with parents at home, like for in-home training to teach them different strategies,
Yeah.
I thought, you know what, this is just a different step with a different goal in mind, but it is almost like parent training. But that's what I had in mind in the very beginning. But the more people that read my book, a lot of people are saying parents can read it and actually integrate these exercises for these kids. So everything that we have learned in the spirit world, how to be a psychic medium, I've taken like crystals, I've taken exercises, meditation, protection, and looked at it from how we can teach our children. Because each child, are different developmentally with their ages.
Right.
So you're not going to, like a 4-year-old, you're not going to talk about death, say, well, ask the spirit how they died. Let's
Right.
they'll be going, oh no, I'm done with this, that kind of thing.
Show them the death card from the tarot. Did it look like this?
Exactly. So I was really wanting to educate others on how to work with these kids step by step. Mm-hmm. And how to embrace it, how, and not to enforce it, not to say, okay, you're going to be doing this, and I know a lot of in the community, they're afraid to have a 16-year-old do psychic readings. And I think about it and I think, if you have the parents' permission and a 16-year-old can work at the grocery store, they can work anywhere. Why not? Because I think they'll be given those clients that they can handle, and if it does get too much, they can learn how not to, have that situation. But a 16-year-old can do psychic readings as much as an adult can.
Right. And, even the youngest children do it naturally.
They do.
And they don't know what they're doing. A friend of mine, fellow hypnotherapist, psychic medium, tells this story about when she was little and everybody was at the grandmother's funeral and, everybody was crying and she's like, why, she was like 4 or whatever. Why are you all crying? They were, your grandmama, your grandmother's dead. And she's like, no, she's not. She's right there because she could see her spirit, in the physical form right there. She's right here.
Absolutely.
And so we, remember people used to have, like kids had their invisible friends.
Oh, absolutely.
My sister had a friend ghosty.
Oh,
because she used to play with this invisible friend and my parents would say, who are you talking to? She's talking to my friend. And so, and it became friend ghosty. So the veil is not closed yet on that window, energetic window, or even memories of past lives, as we get integrated and assimilated.
Yes.
And then past a certain age that, we're like, okay, that's not normal. That's not okay. And I've talked to so many people that had, events and things that happened when they were young, things they knew, and they shut it down on purpose because they didn't want to be the weird one at school. And then, like you said, maybe in college or young adult, they started to allow themselves to be themselves again.
Right.
So I think it's a really neat shift. And I think that's such a cool book that you wrote to help parents because, like instead of shut your kid down, if your kid has something that, seems a little like, like it's not like you have to say, okay, you're going to be a guru.
Absolutely.
But we accept all of you. And if you have these feelings and these, this information come to you or whatever, it's okay. And it's normal. And here's how you manage it. Just like potty training, right?
Absolutely. And it's a part of them. And I know whenever, I finally came out as a psychic medium, it was like, I'm showing everybody who I truly am. Everybody knows my authentic self now.
Yep.
So it's so spiritual and, it is a part of everybody. And like you said, everybody has that intuitiveness, but you choose to use it or not.
Yeah, or be afraid of it. And that's what I love about what, like, say you and I do, or my podcast, is to, provide some information about, what it is, what's going on. So people might go, yeah, I've had that, and it's not weird. Okay, I can learn more about this, and use it instead of run away from it. I wanted to ask you about your just out of curiosity, because you did the Lisa Williams International School of Spiritual Development, and I last year before, when I decided to harness this, I went through the Richard Knight Psychic Academy, and he's in the UK. So I think we've been on these like little parallel paths, and so, and you talked about the community, and it's really interesting to have that community, have people to practice with as you're moving forward and all of that. So tell me about the school that you went to. What was that like? What was your experience in there?
Oh, it was absolutely, like you said, it was a safe environment. And it's almost like, oh, I found my friends, that we all believe in the same thing. So it's a 9-month program, and we did everything on Zoom, and we met twice a week. And so Lisa would, of course, give us exercises that we had to do each week and practice on one another. And she also had a community that we could go out and say, hey, can I practice on you?
Right.
Can you be my guinea pig? Yeah. And that is, what really shocked me, and I know it's so simple, the energy is energy, how you can do readings by Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't think that was possible. And I'm that just opened, I guess I was not thinking outside the box. So, but yes. And then whenever they lift the restrictions for COVID, we all met at Lisa Williams' studio, or her office, outside of Lilydale. And we had a 3-day workshop and then got tested.
Oh,
so I had to, take, it was very interesting, a written test, which, as a teacher, I'm going, yeah. And then I had to read 3 different people, and they score you.
Oh, that's fascinating. Cool.
Yes. Yeah. And then that's how you get certified through her.
That's interesting. Yeah. Similar, but different with my experience. It was a certain number. Mine was pre-recorded self-learning, but he's on like 2 times a week. He does live stuff for an hour with us, and then also several different pieces, like beyond that, different times we get together, we all can practice with each other, and the certification was like a written thing. So that's interesting. And I've really enjoyed it. I really it's for those of us that are interested in using this and pursuing and exercising this. I really appreciated it for providing what would you call it, guideposts, because he did all these different things, right? And how to, especially the ethics, was to have these guidelines. And now you work with the school system. I have a background in a psychology degree, but also as a hypnotherapist, life coach. A lot of that already knew from previous trainings, but some people will just like not know the ethics, right?
Oh, right. Absolutely.
And so like what you say, what you don't say, who you say anything to. Anyway, so it's been very useful.
I totally agree, because a lot of people watch TV and they think, oh, are you going up to somebody in the grocery store and giving them a reading? It's like, okay, for one thing, ethically, no. And another thing, it's mainly staged, what you see on TV.
Right.
So they have to get permission for the people to even be on the show. So, so a lot of people, and I think you're right. I think it's so important to know exactly, because, that person that you're reading for, you have their life in your hands. And I mean, they're listening to everything you're saying.
Yeah. And taking it with more weight than maybe they should. Yes. That's why when I'm doing a tarot reading, I tell the person, This is as things stand at the moment.
Mhm.
Okay. It could give you some guidance. This could, if there's, I say an outcome card is not written in stone. It's a potential outcome that's more likely as the energies and things are happening right now. If you don't like that outcome card, you can look at, what you're doing. I also am certified in the Angel Tarot with Rodley Valentine.
Oh, cool.
And so one of the things that he did is he's remade these tarot cards into I call it a kinder, friendlier deck.
Mhm.
So he's renamed several of them, which I really, really appreciate. And so now even when I'm reading the Rider, White or something, and the death card comes up, I'm like, no, it just means the end of something. It doesn't mean you're going to die. It means a situation, and the cards around it are going to tell you more. So it could be the end of a bad situation.
Right.
It could be, a change in jobs. It could be, same thing with the towers, transformation. That can be a really good thing. And so he calls the tower card transformation, and he calls death something else. I forgot, but it doesn't call it death.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we are just about half an hour in, and
Okay.
in my efforts to
Yes.
try
Absolutely.
to keep my new episodes more timely. How can people find you?
All right. So I always direct people to my website because it basically has all the links on there.
Mhm.
So it's www.michellehendersonmedium.com.
Okay, cool. And that's pretty easy. And these will also be in the details. And so you have anything on there, any of your work, courses, ways?
Yes, I have
contact you
everything.
directly?
Right. Right. I
Okay.
offer and some information. If you are interested in the book and you're not for sure about it, you can always email me and I'll give you a free chapter.
Oh, that's nice. Okay. Is it also available on Amazon or
It is.
any of the regular?
It is.
And,
Yes.
and the title of the book again is, you've got it there, but
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So spiritual nurturing for intuitive children.
Training parents to embrace and enhance their psychic child's abilities, right?
There you go.
That's awesome. Michelle, is there anything else that you want to share before we go?
Well, I just love to tell everybody just to be your unique self. If you do have an intuitive side, don't hide it. Come out of the closet and just be yourself and speak your truth.
Yep. I agree. And something I was going to say earlier is, as a hypnotherapist life coach, I had my very clinical stuff up on my website, and I was not talking so much about, that I do past life regressions or life between life spiritual regressions or tarot or right. And I was like, should I just get a separate website? And then finally, I just added all of that on there. And now I have so many clients coming to me because of those things.
Oh, wow.
That
Yes.
they wouldn't have found me. Right. And
right.
I'm like, so yes, everybody be who you are, because that opens the door for everyone else to be who they are. Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So one last thing I'm going to ask you, do you
sure.
have anything new and exciting that you're looking forward to in the next few years?
Oh my goodness, just to see where this leads. I'm actually, how you get another idea and you're going, I don't know if I want to pursue that or not, but I'm actually thinking of opening up a little shop of some sort to offer, art classes for psychic abilities and and have other psychic mediums come in and do readings in the store.
That would be fantastic. Too bad I don't live near.
Oh, yes, I know. Well, I'm close to Dallas airport.
Here we go. Next time I have a layover, I'll make it last for a day and I'll come to your new shop.
There you go. There you go.
Okay, it was really nice talking to you, meeting you here, and glad you could share everything with my audience.
Well, thank you so much for the great conversation. Thank you.
And so I'll stop record now, but I'll say goodbye and thank you for being here on Intuitive Journey with Desiree. See you next time. Bye.